Hey folks, welcome back to the garden. It's August. I am overdue for a garden tour, so I'll do that very briefly. I say briefly because there's not a lot going on, honestly. I have not been harvesting a ton. I have only been watching plants slowly develop and then fighting off pests and preventing new ones from invading the garden. So, I guess with that said, let's just get started with the tour. I'm sorry I'm talking so fast. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. Okay, let's start. Let me turn this camera around. All right. In this corner, we have a serrano pepper plant, which I just picked from earlier today. I got a couple of nice sized peppers from that. This is a collard plant that I cut here at the stem, and it's slowly hollowing out. I've decided to cut each of these shoots off and treat it as a brand new plant. And that will be my fall collard situation. If that doesn't work out, well, that's fine because I have plenty of seeds. If you saw my last video, then you know what I mean. All right, continuing. A couple of zucchini plants here that are getting a little larger. I brought in some marigold to help bring in pollinators, but as you can see, it's still it's a little immature. Not too much worried about its pollination yet. It has a few more weeks before I really get serious about the flowers and things like that. So that's the squash plant. I talked about my marigold and why they're here. This is a potato plant that I don't think is thriving too well. I think I need to add compost, a layer of compost on top, and then we'll see an improvement. These are watermelon seedlings that I don't plan on keeping, but I'll just watch them grow and see what happens. Maybe thin them out and see how they will develop. Sometimes I just like to watch things grow, and really I don't expect a harvest from them. I just like to understand their ways. All right, continuing. Rosemary. This rosemary's been here for the longest time, and I've decided to figure out how I might use it in more than just cooking. I've learned about rosemary oil and rosemary tinctures. Perhaps I will use rosemary for more than just, food ingredient and apply it as an herbal solution somehow. Yeah, plans for my rosemary. Next, we have some bush beans here. And behind there, I don't know if you could see, but yeah, the ones in a darker shade. All right, continuing, basil. These are a couple of basil plants that volunteered. I just let them grow because they attract pollinators, and the seeds will drop, and then we'll just begin the cycle all over. Sometimes I use it for pasta, pizza. I'm not too much a fan of pesto, but I do like the smell of it when it rains and then it gets warm again. It's very fragrant, and as you walk through the garden, you could just smell it. Well, I actually thought of another use for it. I like it in lemonade and as a tea. So yeah, basil. All right, next bed, we've got the spent collard seeds that are still here. I put them here just to compost in place. That was before I got the composter. And they are taking their precious time to break down. We have more watermelon seeds in here and little seedlings from the collard waste itself. So I expect collards to begin in the fall. Over here we have tomatillo plants that are beginning to flower. So that's pretty cool. Those flowers will become little tomatillos, and I'll watch them grow for the first time. I also have another tomato plant and additional tomatillos over there. This is an okra plant that I am trying for the first time. A lot of these are first times for me. This is a reminder that I need to do some research on how to grow that properly so that I know what to do at every stage of development. This is marigold that I brought to this bed again to attract pollinators, just like this marigold behind me. This is a jalapeno plant, which is slowly giving me some jalapenos. I picked from this earlier. I should have actually made this video earlier today before I ran through all the peppers. A few sunflower plants here, forming their little flower heads. This whole entire garden has been a little underwatered lately. Around this time of year, I trust that nature will provide the water, and it usually does. Up until this week, it's been unusually dry, and I came out earlier today to give it a nice drench. So hopefully things are recovering. I can actually tell so far. This is my sweet potato bed. If you've been following me, you know I grow sweet potatoes. This is my 3rd year growing in this exact spot. They come back every year. I don't have to replant them. When they do, you know, they just start growing the vines, and then eventually they will take root. Let me show you an example of them taking root. Do you have any that take root over here? Kind of. You can see that tug, and then you can see the point in which the roots emerge and go into the soil. So that's going on all across here, but I don't know how many roots have actually made contact. So every time roots make contact, then a new plant well, not a new plant, but a new group of sweet potatoes begin to establish and grow beneath where the root is planted. But sometimes they just kind of float on the top like this and not really, you know, make contact. So I got to dig up in there and see how many I'm expecting. Anyway, that is the sweet potato bed. I did plant some cucumbers here earlier this season, so they are sharing this spot. This plant might be looking like a tangled mess, but this is organized chaos. Some of the dead parts you see below are just a byproduct of me just cutting some of the leaves off, and I needed to do that to increase airflow. The last thing you want is like powdery mildew. In a situation where, you know, air is trying to pass through, you really need to make sure that that space is clear. So that's what's happening. We got one cucumber that we need to grab there before critters try to get to it. I saw a little ant crawling on it. A little harmless, but still my signal to go grab it. All right, and then I'm going to cover this back area, and then that's going to be the end of this video. I'm going to make a part 2 that's going to include some projects, including this grotto space that I'm working on back here. I also have a compost bin that is behind us, and I'll show you that in part 2 as well. Anyway, okay, I have one remaining squash plant here. I planted, I think, 4 crookneck squash plants, and this is the only one that survived. It went through some vine borer damage down here, and then it grew a new stem to start fresh, basically. And yeah, that's great. I'm glad it survived. I'm very grateful for that. However, the issue is that there's only one plant, and it's important to grow as many as possible so that pollination can be seamless. For example, this plant has one female flower that is beginning to emerge, and once the flower opens, there won't be any male flowers to fertilize it. So that kind of sucks. I mean, it's kind of a waste of a fruit. So I don't know what to do about that. I need to read up on some options, and then I'll address it. But obviously I think an option is just to bring in more of this yellow crookneck squash. crookneck. Yeah, bring in more of those if I could find them. Next to that is my blueberry plant, which is putting on so much new growth. This is its first year in this bed, and I'm just so happy to have it here. Okay, continuing, we have tons and tons of mint. That is what this is. It just remains here. It is perpetually growing, and I can't do anything about it, but it's not too bad, you know what I mean? Like, I could easily pull it out. It's easy to remove if I need it. And when I remove it, I just set it out to pretty much just dry out, and then I'll put that in the compost. But essentially, it grows like a weed and it comes back constantly, kind of like the sweet potato here. But like the basil, I do enjoy the fragrance, and I do like the fact that it brings in pollinators, so it stays. All right. And lastly, I'm going to talk about this tomato plant and then get out of here. Now, this tomato plant got some damage during the tropical storm Debbie right here, and it has survived, and I'm very proud of it. There are additional stems. This is the main stem, and these two additional stems are suckers from it. And even the suckers have suckers growing from it, and I will address that in part 2 of this tour slash project video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in part 2. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to see more of this. All right, bye.